Friends, I am very happy to see you all in such a good number. In spite of this cold and the snow around, you have taken the trouble to reach this spot, which shows that you have good interest in such meetings. Perhaps you are mostly interested in religious studies. And that's why you gather together, read and discuss, to understand the secrets of life. Religion is the way to take you to that understanding where the secrets of life are revealed. Many people start to read religious books, philosophies, to get some insight about those lofty truths. Life has many secrets, and mostly they are hidden. And the challenge of man is to discover those hidden things. Most of them are not apparent, not visible, not very easy to see. And there lies the beauty of the challenge, the discovery of that pristine, discovery of that ultimate, discovery of what we call the truth. Many people call it different names. But basically there is something hidden, something divine. And the discovery of that is very essential to make our life knowingly or unknowingly, it becomes a hook. We get caught up in it. So we begin to read those books again and again, not for inquiry, not for proceeding further, but it becomes a kind of indulgence. That's why we read them again and again. Use the same phrases again and again. The repetition will not give you the understanding. So we have to keep our inquiry to see the fact about the truth. Do we do that? Are we keeping ourselves open, alert, to ponder over, to investigate, to discover that ultimate? Or we just indulge in some of the ideas about those lofty ideals. To make that into an idea is destroying the truth. Truth is not an idea, it's not a concept. Truth is a state to be experienced. So one has to remember this fact. That is, there is something, that other quality, that other dimensional energy, that has to be brought in the realm of experiencing, then it is worthwhile. Otherwise, reading the descriptions about it, just singing songs about it, is of no much avail. We can do it once and twice or sometime, but basically, we must be very aware that we have to reach there. We have to make that into our own experience. So that is what is the challenge. How to bring about that quality, that dimension into the experience of our personal experience. So that we will not meet that with words only, with descriptions only. But to make that our own personal experience, then it has its own beauty. Otherwise we'll be practicing, singing and chanting and doing all those things. But we'll be always captured into our own minds. So all that becomes an idea, a mental activity. And as long as it is a mental activity, you won't be able to experience that quality. That quality is independent. That quality is beyond the mind and the thought. So there lies the challenge. How can we have that when we are so active in thought and mind? Is it possible to have that experience with this mind active, agitated all the time? Look at yourself, how we are living, how we are acting, how we are excited in our mind all the time. There is hardly any moment when there is no thought, when the mind is not active at all. We have developed such minds which are all the time active, ceaselessly jumping around in thoughts, in emotions, in desires, and in several other pursuits. Of course, we have to have this mind, we have to have some pursuits, we have to use our thought process also. All that is useful on one level of life. It's a factual level. We have to live, we have a physical body, we have some necessity, we have to work with that kind of mind. That's one level of existence. But that divinity is quite a different level, is quite a different dimension of life. It's a different energy. To have that experience of that energy, of that quality, this mind, as we know of, will not be useful instrument. You have to realize this first thing, that this mind, however serious it may be, however sharp it may be, however good it may be, it will not be able to lead you to that. It will not be able to take you to that. Because our mind is a product of time. We have built this mind through time, through the past. Mind is nothing but the storehouse of all our past memories. You know, sirs, what is mind? How it is composed of? Your own mind, our mind. Do we ever give a time and the thought to find out what this structure is? Without knowing this structure first here, we won't be able to know anything beyond it. God is much more beyond. So the first thing is to know a little more about this self, this mind, this thought activity. Generally we don't try to. We try to focus our attention somewhere else in the name of divinity, God, reality. He may be there. But to reach that place, you have to start from your place, from your state. So without knowing the structure of thought mind, you can't proceed beyond it. Because it has enveloped you completely. See the light. Look at yourself. The thought process is all the time active. It is dictating your whole life actions. You are full and full of thoughts, desires, plans, pursuits, fears and hatreds, and there are so many things. But they are all thought processes. And there are umpteen of thoughts. And we are almost imprisoned by these various thoughts, desires, emotions, activities. The life is nothing but the play of these different thought desires at different levels. Then we think about God also sometimes. But that thinking also is another thought. So we add one more thought, the pursuit of God. God is not a thought. It's not a static thing somewhere. It's a very pristine, dynamic energy flow. And you have to become yourself energy to capture that energy. The static, docile activity of thought mind will never be able to capture that timeless. Thought is made by time. It's a product of the past. The whole mind is a structure of time. Through time we have accumulated all these thoughts, all these memories. And that memory mind is you. So this accumulated memory structure will never be able to reach that. This time process will never be reached, that timeless. Thought, mind is a result of time. All your past experiences, all your memories, they constitute the mind. Sirs, understand this mind first. The first thing, the closest thing to you is your own mind. We have to make a beginning from the closest thing to move further. So here is the beginning. To understand this structure, understand this activity, this ceaseless flow, that is very essential. We rarely make an effort to understand our own mind, to look at it as it is. It's very easy for us to look at somebody else's mind, to analyze it, to describe it, praise it, blame it, do whatever. But look at your own mind as you look at your own face in the mirror. It's so very difficult to look at your own mind because you have never done that. And it is so essential to know this structure, to understand this movement of thought mind. Then you will bring about some kind of tranquility, some kind of order. Without creating this order through understanding, you won't be able to move much further. So see the necessity of looking at yourself, not with some ideas, not through some books of psychology and philosophy, but to look at yourself as you are, quietly, attentively, to see the moment impartially, without saying it good or bad, without asserting it or condemning it, but to look at the thing as it is. Then you will begin to see its intricate movements, its complex structure. It's not so simple as you think the mind is. It's a very complex, clever structure. We have got to take this challenge to understand ourselves first. In understanding this, in looking at it, you will come very close to it. You will come inwards to watch the movement. You will take an inward journey to see it, to look at it, to understand. We never travel inside, within ourselves. We do not know anything about our own inner being. We are all extroverted beings, all the time focused outside. We know nothing about our inwardness. That's why we are so active all the time. Only that inwardness will give you that tranquility, the peace, and the balance to understand things. So to come back to yourself, into yourself, for some times at least in a day, we are too much extroverted. All the time pursuing the demands of the outer. Ceaselessly caught up in the turmoil of thought. The moment there is a thought, you are out in action. Then there is a different thought, you are in a different direction. The ceaseless activity of the thought mind is the life. What is sacrosanct about life? This constant, ceaseless activity. And the more you are active, the more you feel great. That's why you do not know the beauty of that tranquility, the ecstasy of that innerness. Because we do not know a thing about innerness. We may read descriptions, we may sing songs about that, but never try to travel towards that. So the challenge is to make a movement towards that. Don't remain too much in the words. It's very easy to read description, sing, repeat all the time. Repetition will strengthen your memory and the mind only. Again it will be a strong catch. All those pristine virtues are lying beyond the mind, not in the realm of mind. So is it possible to leave this mind for some time where it is and travel inwards? Is it possible to quieten that mind which is so active all the time? It has become almost a habit of the mind to be active ceaselessly. You may like it or not, it's all the time moving. You have no control on the mind. It has become a chronic thing. And that's why we have so many psychosomatic disorders. Because we can't quieten it, we can't stop it. We can't slow it down. One of the functions of the mind is to slow itself down, but we can't do that. We are helpless. Is that the way of life? To remain helpless? So see this challenge of your own mind. Be aware of that. Mind itself is the greatest hindrance, the greatest obstacle between you and the divinity. Nobody is blocking you but your own self. Understand this fact and to try to deal with this mind. To deal with it with understanding. You are not going to struggle with it. With understanding, with care, with love. Observe it, understand it. See its own intricate nature. For that, you have to be very aware of it. You have to take note of its movement, how it moves, how it comes up, how the thought is generated, how it takes its charge, throws you into action all the time. Can you see this phenomena of your life self? Perhaps you don't have time, unfortunately. To see this panorama of your own life, how the thought comes, from where and why it comes, how it takes charge, how it pushes you, all these angers and your pursuits, all these are thoughts. And you are helplessly acting. So look at it. Give a little time. And you will see the beauty of it as well as the ugly part of it also. There is so much hidden. We are not yet aware of this thought process, all emotional activity, different pursuits and many hidden things in this consciousness. So understanding of this is first necessity. So for this, too much reading also is not necessary. It's a matter of observation, matter of investigation. To observe the movements of one's own thought-mind activity. Observe impartial. To observe without any motive. To observe aloofly, dispassionate, objectively. To look at the whole activity. Look at it without getting caught into it. Look at it without getting involved in it. Is it possible? Just to look at this whole activity without getting involved in it. Just to be aloof, observant. That is what is necessary first. We have read a lot. For centuries we are reading. And we don't need to do it much more now. Now it's a matter of understanding. Reading will create only ideas, concepts, thoughts. But now we need first-hand experience. And for that experience, you have to observe. Observe dispassionately. Look at yourself. That is the beginning of understanding you first. You don't have to understand someone else. Even a great saint, you need not understand yourself first. That is the beginning of sanity. We leave ourselves alone without any knowledge and sing songs about others. It's all right once or twice, but that becomes a pattern of the mind, and that becomes the greatest escape from you. So let's not escape now. Start rightly. In starting right only, you will be able to move in a right direction to meet the right end, not otherwise. We are doing all this through centuries and centuries. And what is happening to our understanding? We are repeating everything. He who understands will never repeat. And through repetition will never understand anything. It will become a chronic habit. So we have to have a new approach, a new insight. Now we are interested in experiencing some of these pristine truths, not just singing songs about them. We have done this for centuries. We need a change in our life. Only that kind of understanding will bring the right change. It will bring the right order in our whole consciousness. Then the living will be quite a different thing. It will not be repetitious. It will not be a copy of someone else. But you will discover your own uniqueness. Because you will be directly in touch with understanding, experiencing. And we need to have the right means to invite that experiencing. I think with this introduction, we'll take some questions. Perhaps that will be a good way for you to understand more things.
Do you recommend meditation for that experiencing?
The questioner asked if I prescribe any meditation. Well, I am not interested in the techniques of meditation. There are several. I can offer some or few also. But one has to understand basically the whole structure of this life. And in this understanding, in this pondering, in this investigation, you will reach that state of meditation. Meditation is a happening within yourself. That kind of inward pondering. Meditation is a search unto oneself. Many people just try to meditate. It becomes just a technique, do this, and then what? It's the mind that again makes it a technique and lives in it. Let that meditation come to you. Let it happen into you through this pondering, through this search, through this investigation. You must learn the art of pondering, of searching, like a scientist. You know how a real scientist does a research? He is very free. A real scientist. They are completely free, open to come upon any truth. And they are very intense, very inward, very focused. There's no diversion, no chattering of the mind. They're so very attentive, alert and focused to find out what is in front of them. Maybe some experiment or maybe some microscope. But they're intensely there with their totalness. They work with their total energy. It's not just a concentration of thought. It's not a concentration upon one idea. We all know that. Anybody can concentrate upon one thought. Even a cat, when it wants to catch the mouse, it's just completely in concentration. Our minds also work like that. We concentrate upon our limited goals. We do achieve some of those things, but that is a concentration of an idea, a pursuit of some idea. One part of the mind focuses. We learn different techniques. Many people learn different techniques. Study, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, study and then obtain degrees, do something. And then again find jobs, work in that, but they're all the time in that little pigeonhole. Concentration is that which keeps in that pigeonhole. You know all and everything about that little hole. But you are divorced with the totality of life. This is the challenge of the discovery of the totality. You have to become total. Gather your whole energy to come in that totalness, to discover the ultimate totality. An expert mind, a clever mind will never have it. They do become clever, very informative. But we need a different capacity for the discovery of that totalness, that eternity. So mind always gets into the habit of that concentration. And that concentration upon one idea is not meditation. It's a narrowing down of the consciousness. But here is the challenge of discovering the totality of your consciousness so that you can become complete, whole, total. To become whole, that being of whole is to be holy. There is that state of wholeness. You are complete, total, undivided, unfragmented. Do we know, sirs, what is this state of unfragmented individuality? You are not fragmented anywhere, but a total being, open in all directions, sensitive, alert, complete and full. It is a mind which were focused and pursued make you fragmented in one direction, on one level. And we all work like that. God, we are all fragmented human beings with several pursuits, several ideas, several concerns, anxieties, God, plans. At different level we are just shifting quickly like a robot. But there is never a wholeness, a totalness of being. The challenge of religion is the discovery of that totalness of being. I hope some of you at least will understand this and take this challenge. Life is meant for that. Life has its deeper challenges. But we begin to play on superficial level alone and keep ourselves excited on the superficial level. Let's not do that. You are all educated, intelligent, sensitive people. I can understand with other people. But those who are intelligent, sensitive, educated, they should look for this new challenge, this new frontier. There is so much for you to accomplish. Then the life will be a different moment, a different quality of existence. We need to discover that, so that our lives will be really peaceful, tranquil, and fulfilling.
I'm not clear what method.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just
we accept that we have to achieve certain goal or whatever, wholeness or coolness mind. But we have to start somewhere. How to start? First, because it's in the big sea that is in the middle of the sea. We have to go there in the middle of the sea. How do we start? That's the biggest question.
Yes, it is a big sea.
Yeah.
So that you start on the shore towards the beginning of the sea, which is the ripple, which is the wave. If you want to see the ocean, examine the ocean, know the ocean, you start from the shore. A little wave, a ripple, is a nice beginning. So these ripples of your mind is a big ocean, I know, composed of so many things, known and unknown, conscious and subconscious. That's why let us start from the fringe, just to see everyday activity of thought mind. You don't have to jump into the center of your consciousness. You can't do it. See and observe the ripples of your mind. They are so near, so close. Make a beginning from your own shore of consciousness. But make a beginning, we don't make a beginning, that is it. Those who make a quiet, simple, honest beginning will definitely move further. Isn't it possible to make a beginning? To see a little bit of our own movement of mind? We have never done that. It's very easy to do something with the mind. That's very easy. But to see, observe and understand the very structure of mind is a challenge. We want to have easy things. And many people prescribe very easy things. I can do that. Yes. But we have played enough with all those easy things. We want to have the right thing, to make the right beginning. It may be a big ocean, but I am going to work from the shore where the waters are shallow. I will move inch by inch, foot by foot. And then finally I'll learn the art of swimming in the ocean, swimming in the whole consciousness of the mind. And when I begin to swim there, the depth and the vastness of it is not a problem. When I begin to swim, the vastness is not a problem at all. But let me make a beginning. Right beginning, earnestly, honestly. Not to find out some cheap things, easy things. There are many, many around us. That's why everybody is trying something, doing and doing something in the name of religion. But where are those religious people? With those who have that tranquility, peace, understanding, intelligence, austerity, all those people. Everybody is practicing all this. So remember this challenge. This challenge is something very deep, something very profound. It's not like playing the games. It's a challenge. It's a discovery. And every human being has to do this if he wants to create some sanity and order in his life. Then he has to take this step. I think we are capable of taking the challenges. You people have taken so many challenges. Left your homes, relatives, your homelands, and come to different countries. in a different situation, in climatic and cultural environment also. You are taking challenge, you have that capacity. But when it comes to this, we want all very easy things. Or tell us what is easy. So we have to learn to take this challenge. With this challenge you can discover something profound into yourself. We need to have the challenge to discover the profundity within ourselves. Without challenge, we can't discover. It will be all a very tame game then. If it is all very easy and smooth, you will reach nowhere, I tell you. The thing is to discover that profundity, that dynamicity of energy. That's a very high voltage energy. And without rising above yourself, without taking the challenge, you won't come near that dynamicity, that energy. Whatever you call that soul or divinity is something like a high voltage, dynamic, pristine energy. It's not a static thing. It's a timeless momentum of life.
I ask a question. You seem to be identifying the restlessness of ourself with the mind and saying that there is an experiencing self that experiences a tranquility as if that is not part of your mind. You seem to be making a distinction between the restless mind and the experiencing mind. The mind that experiences tranquility as if there is a dichotomy within us and that we are battling it all the time. Is that a fair division of the mind?
We are just beginning to explore the realm of mind. We have not come to the conclusion, sir. It's not only this and that. There are many things. We have not yet started exploring. Let us see further this kind of restlessness that you know of. Begin with that. See this restlessness, this agitation, this divisive activity of the mind, jumping around all the time. Make a beginning, see it. Then you will go deeper into it. We are much further still of that tranquility. We are not yet made a beginning even. Again, we are just having the ideas about that. See this restlessness, understand it. See the fallacy of it. See the stupidness of that restlessness. How mechanical it is. How habitual it all is. You are not yet aware of it. And that's why you are caught up in it all the time. Know it. See the whole movement of that restlessness. Then you will wonder at it. You will see the madness of it. How mechanical all that thing is. There is nothing, no much sense in it. It's just a habit pattern that moves constantly. You will see that habit, mechanical activity. And that seeing itself will act upon that. When you see some poison as a poison, you will be aware. but you don't see it as such. We are all playing with it. So first thing, to become conscious of that. See how we are caught up in it. We are no way, easy way to escape or come out. It has become a part of the life. It's a habit, almost a chronic habit now. You can't sit quiet for a few minutes, real quiet. Quiet unto yourself, to be with yourself. Then you will know what is your own being. See the beauty of that beingness.